NFC, Todd Gurley said the Rams' home opener against the Saints today is just another game. He may feel that way, but the entire city of New Orleans may want to disrespectfully disagree. A rematch of the NFC Championship game that had fans crying foul long after the Rams lost in the Super Bowl. Since then, personnel largely remains the same in a matchup with the makings of a rivalry. They have the exact same record since the start of 2017, while Drew Brees and Jared Goff have split their last 4 meetings. Josina Anderson is in Los Angeles with more.
Well, Sam, one man, one player already headlining this Rams-Saints rematch. That's Rams cornerback Nickell Robey-Coleman. And not just for the one infamous storyline that you know as the DB that got away with the non-PI call that helped to keep the Saints home watching the Super Bowl that you already know. I'm talking about his entire life story that led to that momentous play that you might not know. And I'm not even talking about his sister that gave me the back page on the death threats that he got last year, talking about don't ever come back to New Orleans, we'll kill you, and your whole family is ugly. I'm talking about his real life and death chapters that help to explain every play that pumps his heart, including that one.
They take the shotgun snap. Brees is going to throw. Right side. It is Lewis, and he's decked as the ball arrives.
Were you expecting to look around and see a flag?
Yeah, I turned around at that moment. I was just like, oh, no flag.
No penalty marker. Nickell Robey-Coleman got there early. That could have and maybe should have been pass interference, and if so, it's effectively game over.
So what do you say to all those Saints fans who said that flag should have been called, and if it was, they could have run out the clock?
Hey, Saints fans, I'm sorry, but it is what it is. You heard what the ref said. The ref said it was incomplete. Respect the call.
Nickell Robey-Coleman rule, the NRC rule.
Rule 15, Section 3.
Article 10.
There you go.
I might get it tatted on me.
Before Nickell Robey-Coleman's infamous connection to an NFL rule change, he grew up with no spotlight in Frostproof, Florida, in the center of the Sunshine State.
Small house, enough to have 2 kids like my mom had. Me and my sister, we shared a room all the way up until I was like 18 years old.
So when I say Maxine Robey, your mom, what's the first thing that comes to mind?
The love of my life. The person that taught me about life before I even knew what I was even getting myself into. She knew I was pretty good in sports and I was an all-around athlete, but she always harped on me about going to school, get your education, be more than a statistic.
He was on his way to fulfilling his mother's dream, committing to play college football at USC in February of 2010. Then, just weeks later,
I normally check on her all the time before I go to school, and she was on the ground. You know, she was having a heart attack. Called 911, made the call, boom, I started doing CPR on her. She came back like twice. Like, she came back, like her eyes started rolling back her head, so she came back. She was blinking, but she wasn't saying anything. I just started breaking down, you know what I'm saying? Cause like, you know, that's my mom, and like, I was just...
Maxine Coleman died at age 44.
Couldn't believe it was really happening to me.
Her death left a void in her son's life.
Mama, right here, baby.
Football filled it. He left USC early and signed with the Bills as an undrafted free agent in 2013, where he didn't miss a game in 4 seasons in Buffalo.
Touchdown, Nickell Robey-Coleman!
That's him always feeling like he was against the odds. The chip on his shoulder is something that he embraces.
After a head coaching change, he was released by the Bills in 2017. He signed with the Rams and had his best pro season, playing on the first playoff team in his NFL career.
He's one of those energy guys. So when you see him, if you're down a little bit, you'll get cranked up a little bit, man, just on how he's preparing himself.
He made plays at corner and he made plays at nickel that made us step back as a staff and say, hey, Robey's one of the best 11 players on defense. What is it that we need to do to adjust as leaders to get him on the field?
The 9-1 Rams were preparing for a Monday night matchup last November. Then he received the news. There were complications from the premature birth of his son, Nickell Robey-Coleman Jr.
They operated and his lungs wasn't pumping. It got worse after the surgery. That's when I kind of had the feeling that it's probably over. And that was like the hurting part because I had to wait to see, had to wait till all the life sucked up out of him before they could say he's officially gone. I was empty again.
A lot of times we forget about what the players have to deal with on a personal side. And during that process, I just remember him staying in contact with me, telling me how he felt, and saying, hey, coach, no matter how this goes, keep me in the game plan because I really need ball.
4 days after the death of his son, Robey-Coleman was back in uniform to play that Monday night game against the Chiefs.
We start fast, we bring the energy, we move the simple. Let's go out here and do it. Lock up on 3. 1, 2, 3. Lock up.
Everyone sees you guys on Sundays, and they have no idea what you all are also dealing with in life.
That's the only thing that kept me through. Football is the only thing that kept me through.
But keep playing fast.
Anytime that something didn't go well, I would lean on football, no matter what it was. I'll be lying if I say football didn't save me.
3rd down and 10, Breeze from the gun, takes the snap, goes to the near side, hit early, where's the flag? Unbelievable no call.
We joke, we say, Robey, your play changed some ruling for the whole league.
And they also celebrated one of his greatest milestones.
You talk about supporting each other, being happy for guys, achieving big-time things in life. Look for Robey-Coleman.
After the Rams' Super Bowl run, he fulfilled his late mother's wish and earned his degree at USC.
Promised my mom I was gonna get my degree. I thought the Super Bowl was the best thing of 2019, but going to class, finishing up, getting my real estate development degree, it was the best.
Nickell Robey-Coleman.
It's crazy going from one extreme to another, as far as from good fortune, bad fortune type. Good times don't last always, and bad times don't either. The storm can't last forever, and that's what I learned going through bad things.
A fitting end for Nickell Robey-Coleman, seeing as though he is the vocal leader of this secondary, hyping up and breaking down the huddle before most games, telling me he says things like, quote, if we do what we're supposed to do, then we'll be the best secondary in the league and nobody can touch us. And speaking of touches, I asked Rams running backs coach Skip Peete about the utilization of Todd Gurley, who just had 14 carries in week 1. Pete told me we do want to use him quite a bit, but we're looking for about 65% of the rushing attempts from Todd and about 35% from Malcolm Brown. He said, but we did talk to both of them. They do push one another, watch and critique each other in practice, and they do have a good working relationship. Now, as for whether the Saints have gotten over the pain of the NFC Championship loss, linebacker Demario Davis told me he had 0 problems watching the film of the championship game, and he mentally doesn't want to get stuck on last year. But Rams safety John Johnson told me he ain't buying it, saying, quote, I know that they're frustrated, and obviously they're going to come in here and give us everything that they've got, including some new wrinkle from Sean Payton that we haven't seen. And Who Dat Nation is probably going to be wearing some of these referee jerseys that they wore in week 1, where they're probably going to boo every play, and it's probably going to get a little chippy. Sam, back to you.
I mean, congrats on getting that on so smoothly,
because
that was impressive in and of itself. All right, Rex, I don't know if I'm buying Todd Gurley's statement about this being just another game. We saw from Josina it's going to look different in the stands. There's a lot of other elements to this. So as a coach, what's your philosophy on how you approach a game where there's a huge elephant in the room? Everybody knows what this is all about.
Yeah, I tell you, I mean, you got to be right up front about it. And this is not another game. I mean, let's face it. As a fan, though, we got to be excited. Those are 2 of the best games we saw all last year. But this game right here is so huge for the Saints. And I'm going to tell you, I mean, we all know what happened in that game, but put up and shut up right here. Move past it by spanking this team on their field. That's a statement they can make. And if they do, watch out for the Saint team. If they don't, man, a loss like that can demoralize you for a long time. And let's face it, you know, hey, I've been on both sides of it, and it's how they respond today that I think is going to scream loudly about what's going to happen in the future.
And the formula to respond, Drew Brees knows that it's about succeeding on the offensive side of the ball. They're going to have to take care of Aaron Donald. Drew Brees gave a little scouting report, a quarterback scouting report on Aaron Donald. Let's take a listen to what Drew Brees thinks about Aaron Donald as a player.
He is so multiple in the things that he can do, you know, the moves that he can give you, the inside, the outside, the rip, the jump, I mean, I don't even have names for all the moves that he can do.
With the left arm on the bicep, but continue to watch the left arm. Then to the breastplate, inside move, forces the fumble there against the Saints. This is how good Aaron Donald is. The outside move, there's that rip he was talking about. He talked about being multiple. There's a clear, there's a press, there's a post right there by the left arm, and then you finish. That's multiple. Jump move, this man looks like a spider monkey right here rushing the passer. Jumps, still able to use that core strength of balance to rip, get under, beat a double team. They know they have to double team him. That's what they did last year. They're going to have to do it again. You see it, NFL Next Gen stats. Aaron Donald was double teamed on 82% of pass rushes in the NFC Championship game. That's what they'll do, but it'll open up opportunities for other players along that defensive line. Drew Brees knows it starts with Aaron Donald.
But Teddy, last week, no sacks and only 1 tackle. Was that concerning for you to start the year from Aaron Donald?
No.
All right.
Not at all.
He's not worried about it. Moving right along.
He'll be there. He'll be there.
I really think that this is one of those games where both offenses, no disrespect to the defense, because these are complete teams, both offenses have to cut it loose. We saw Jacina's piece talking about that Rams-Chiefs game last year. You got to cut it loose. I expect trick plays. I expect aggressive offense. And the key reason why is Alvin Kamara. Alvin Kamara is one of those guys. I don't know if the Rams have anybody that matches up with him specifically. And so when you know that the other team is going to score points, that's when you come in as an offense. I remember coaches coming in, offensive coordinators coming in like, hey, guys, this is a game. We're going to go for it on 4th down. We're going to be aggressive on if it's 3rd and short, we might be taking shots. That's the kind of game that this is. This is a championship game mentality that these teams will be coming in with.
You're talking about championship game. You know, throughout your time of playing in the National Football League, there's that team that you're playing that next season, but all off season you prepare and train for them. No, the New Orleans Saints was not supposed to look past the Houston Texans Monday night. But I guarantee you, week 2 going out to L.A., this is the game that they had marked on their calendar. And if there's one particular player that really stands out to me in this game, it has to be wide receiver Michael Thomas. And I'm going to tell you why week 9 against them, Coach Wade Phillips, the defense coordinator, came out and disrespected that offense and Michael Thomas and played him with Marcus Peters, followed him all over the field, and almost had a record-setting day with 200-plus yards receiving. Let's come back to the NFC Championship in the Saints' house. Defense coordinator Wade Phillips, the defense is still there, and they were able to roll coverage his way to really have Michael Thomas struggling. So what type of defense are we going to get in today's game? If I was a bet man, I would have to go with the way that they played Michael Thomas in the NFC Championship by not just giving him single coverage with a single safety, putting multiple guys on him and making him have to work to get the ball.
If I'm a member of the Los Angeles Rams, I'm tired of hearing about this call. You guys think it was all the call? You think it was a call? Well, come on in here. Come and get this. Because I'd be motivated if I was a Ram. Because you guys think you should have been in the Super Bowl. No, there was still football after that game that you couldn't get it done. Okay, that's a bottom line right there. You want to cry about a call all off season? Come on in here and cry about it.
That's exactly what it'll sound like in the locker room. Now, they haven't said that publicly, but that is exactly what they will be saying in that locker room before that game.
Well, there is no doubt that they have reason to be confident at home. In their last 9 games, they're 8-1 at home, and nobody has more touchdowns than Jared Goff at home last year. All right, let's move.